I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com and NoBSCoachingAdvice.com. And this is a question that shows up from time to time. And I've avoided answering, I should say, but I just thought we'd address it today because to me it's very simple. And the question is it okay to take notes during the interview? Let me ask you this. If a hiring manager constantly looked down at his desk to take notes, how would you feel about them? Would you think that they were paying attention to you, cared about you, or were they focused on the note-taking process? Answer, not number one, not number two, but number three, focused on the note-taking process. And so it really is for you as well. If you're staring at your pad, if you're constantly looking down, taking notes, there's a problem. And if you don't ask if it's okay, that's rude. So if you're interested in taking notes, if you want to jot down a few things, the best thing to do as you sit down and ask some questions, I have to do it this way because of my single best question you should ask on any interview. So you sit down and you ask them that single best question you should ask on any interview. And then from there, you say, as they're about to speak, would you mind if I took down just a couple of notes? I promise I'm not staring at my pad or iPad the entire time. And once they say sure, only a couple of things. You can't make it seem like you're taking dictation. If you're working with an iPad or some other tablet device, you can't start to whimper at some point if you start having typos in what you're doing. You just have to let it go and correct it later on. Experience tells me that when I've been interviewing someone and they're taking notes, I really don't mind as long as it's not the prevalent part of our conversation where they're looking down and sending me the message. And again, understand that everything you do or don't do communicates something. I want you to hear that again. Everything you do or don't do communicates something. So if you're taking notes, well, you want to be accurate. That's great. But if all you're doing is taking down notes, it basically suggests, does this person have a memory problem? Are they even listening to what I'm saying? And then worse than that, you're not connecting with the interviewer. You see, interviewers want to feel like, and I want you to hear that magic word, feel like they're dealing with a human being that they're going to interact with once they're on board. They want to like you as well as believe that you're competent. Often if what you're doing is staring at the pad, the iPad, the device, an actual stenographer's pad, whatever it is, you're not paying attention to them. You're not giving them eye contact. You're not smiling. And if you are smiling, you're not looking at them when you're smiling. And that just takes away a lot of power. So if I were just looking down here, taking notes the entire time of this conversation, you'd have a feel for me that, is kind of weird. And that's the issue with note-taking. So again, number one, start by asking the single best question you should ask on any interview. Watch that video on YouTube, please. Number two, then go into, is it okay if I just, as they're starting to talk, would it be okay if I just took down a couple of notes along the way? I don't want to make any mistakes, and if it's a problem, I certainly won't do it. Number three is don't be fixated on the note-taking process. You need to be fixated not just simply on great answers to questions, but on connecting with the interviewer as a human being. Hope you found this helpful. Again, JobSearchCoachingHQ.com has curated information of mine and others that will help you find work more quickly. Have a great day. Take care.